There's a new street fighter on your windowsill. The weapon is peace, the word is chill.
Hello there guys, and welcome to another episode of Displaying Model Behavior, the Earth's most amazing Yamaguchi action figure video podcast. So take off your pants, crack a beer, and let's talk toys. Let's talk the Revolutech Amazing Yamaguchi Iron Spider, which just arrived finally. I think I'm the last guy on YouTube to get this sucker, but he's in my hands and I have thoughts. So let's talk about him. First of all, let's take a little look at the box, because the box is super pretty. Anything with Japanese writing on just looks cool. It's from a mysterious foreign land. It's not that mysterious to me, but still, it just looks kind of awesome. It looks sort of special and not what you would normally expect. And the writing on here, it basically just says you can recreate the poses in these pictures, which is kind of nice to know that it's not just clever marketing and photography, but how easily can you recreate the poses in these pictures? Well, I'll tell you. It's a bit of an interesting sort of thing. You see, I'm so used to Marvel Legends, which maybe some people might be like, that's like baby's first action figure, because they're also user-friendly. You can just twist and turn and play with the butterfly joints. It's all super easy. This thing is like a Rubik's Cube. It's funny that we used to make fun of Toy Biz for all of their ball joints, and the same for McFarlane now. It's like ball joints everywhere. Well, guess what? This has got ball joints out the wazoo. If there is a joint, they'll put a ball on it. It's like, we're Amazing Yamaguchi, and here we're going ball joint crazy. You give us a joint, we'll put a ball on it. We got ball jointed ankles, hips, knees, elbows, even ball jointed mid calf. What? Who? What? Guy, human beings don't bend that way, or they certainly shouldn't unless your name is Sid. This is not how a calf bends. And that was always a pet peeve of mine, actually, in the comic books. Whenever someone would draw Spider-Man or any hyper-flexible character, really, with bent calves, I'm like, nah, you need to go back to anatomy school, pal. But with this, I can kind of understand it, because the whole point is he's super articulatable. Is the word just super articulate? Because I feel it shouldn't be, because super articulate should refer to how you are speaking, but either way, I digress. This figure is like a Rubik's Cube, because you need to know what way the particular ball joint is facing at the time to know how you can bend it and how you can manipulate it. And if it's not facing the way you think it is, it will snap. Which I haven't experienced yet, but I can see it. There have been times that I've gone to move a joint the way I would expect a Marvel Legend to move, and there's been resistance, and I've been like, whoa, that was close. Because you have to know what way the pin is facing to understand which way it will rotate. So it is highly articulatable, but you've got to be a lot more careful. It's more of a game. And there are pros and cons with how articulate he is. I'm just going to say articulate, even if it's not the right word. For example, you can bend his leg all the way back. Great knee articulation there. However, in order to facilitate that, he literally has like the back of his leg. His hamstring is sort of missing. It's concave. Like Spidey, he hasn't been skipping leg day, but he's been skipping deadlift day for certain. And similarly, underneath his arms, he's kind of, again, concave, which I guess allows for some extra movement towards his body maybe, but then if you do tilt his arm in various directions, you can see a little too much daylight. It's like, that arm doesn't look quite right. Speaking of not looking quite right, don't worry, there's good stuff too. The ball joints on the shoulders allow, yes, for maximum articulation, but still, you can't sugarcoat the fact that he has ball-jointed shoulders. You can put as big a price tag on the figure as you want and give him all the bells and whistles, but when it comes down to it, when you look at his shoulders, you still see ball joints. That's where I would say these figures are amazing, 10 out of 10 for toy photography and posing. You get the right angles, get things looking really cool, get in good poses. But just to stand there, you don't want to stand him up like a soldier, because then the cracks start to show, you know, the paint starts to peel. Not literally, the paintwork on this is great. But yeah, that's something to bear in mind. The anatomy is weird. It's Amazing Yamaguchi style. I get that. That's the style of the manufacturer. And I like the fact that every different toy maker has their own spin and take on it. This is hyper anime Japanese style, so I dig that. But of course, I'm always thinking, how will it fit in with Legends? Well, luckily, It does, because, first of all, the proportions are pretty much spot on. You could argue he's a little bit smaller than your average Marvel Legends, but I'll do a figure comparison at the end of this video. But generally, he will slot in there nicely. And the fact that this is a robotic Spider-Man suit, that gives you a lot of leeway. Because you're like, oh, that's a weird looking joint, or that looks a bit odd. Well, it's fine. It's armor. It doesn't have to look completely normal. Even though the Amazing Spider-Man Iron Spider suit in the comics, like, it just fit him like a normal costume. There were no bits sticking out, like crazy sharp knees sticking out. That's another unusual kind of point where when the leg is not flexed, it fits his leg fine. But then as soon as you bend the knee, you get this big dagger sticking out here. But again, I can mentally look past it because it's all part of that armor. So that works for me, that's fine. But it is a bit of a compromise, you know? Where we're not compromising, though, is in the big selling point, at least for me, which is the spider legs themselves. These look money. These look great. And also, to answer a very common question, they will support his weight if you put him in the right pose. You gotta play around. That's where I was saying, this is more like a Rubik's Cube. It's a game. You gotta figure out the best way of doing it. And if you've got the time to dedicate to that, then it's time well spent, because some of the poses look money. But it's so different. It's a completely different experience to your average Marvel Legends. Also, on the back of the head here, you see you've almost got like an armadillo kind of armor plating sort of shell over his neck, which, not comic accurate, but because it's armor, I actually dig it. It looks like he just has extra armor on the back of his neck, like, would make sense. So all the little things that I kind of point out as a problem, you can also explain away with the nature of the character. I love the torso crunch. The torso crunch is fantastic. It really allows great sort of mid-air swinging type poses, and because of the style of it, there's not really any gap or daylight or anything there. So that looks really, really effective. Going back to the legs though, we have so much articulation on these legs. You can pose them just about any way you want, but you see just from this here, they will unpop quite easily. They're not that tight in the sockets, which is good and bad. It's good, I guess, that they're not going to break too easily because they just pop off. But at the same time, I wonder how tight these are going to be in about 4 months' time. When I've been playing around with him for a while, are the legs just going to start flopping down because they can't support their own weight? I don't know, but it does make me question, so I'm interested in that. Similarly, they give you a fourth Iron Spider leg because, speaking of massive gripes, when they drew the Iron Spider in the comics, they only gave him 3 extra legs, and it's like, why? That must have been an artistic choice. No one would just forget to do a 4th leg, so he must have gone, nah, I'm going to give this spider 7 legs because, you know, arachnid, 7. No. So it always kind of irked me that that didn't actually add up. So clearly it bothered Yamaguchi too, because they gave you an extra leg, which you can use this adapter for, and then you can stick the 4th leg on there. But I actually find, in fairness, in defense of the artists, 4 legs feels a bit cluttered. It fits okay, but again, with the slightly loose ball joints, you're bound to get 1 leg that's kind of flopping to the side or not supporting itself, and I feel that 3 is just a bit neater to pose with. But again, you saw there, like, it doesn't take much for them to just fall down. So no matter how much you push the ball socket in, eventually it looks like it won't hold its position perfectly. Speaking of holding though, these will support his weight. That's actually pretty good. Some people have been asking that, and yes, as long as you take the time to get him into the right pose, you can actually make some of the iconic type poses of the spider legs holding him up. They will. But again, will they hold in 6 months' time? I don't know. Time will tell. Just gonna have to keep subscribing to these videos to find out. But on the whole, I like this figure. It wasn't what I was expecting. I didn't really know what to expect. This is my first Yamaguchi figure. So would I want to buy any more of them? Possibly not, because I think this works. Some of the gripes I have, you can get away with because it's an armored costume. But if I was to buy like a Wolverine or someone who is just a physical, organic form and it has all weird joints and stuff, I'd be like, I don't know about that. So this one is a one-off, I think. But if I see a Yamaguchi and I can see it in hand, then I might be able to make a judgment call. But just buying from photos, I wouldn't be too sure about that. But I'm happy with this guy because of the nature of the character. He suits the design. But still, lots of funny ball joints. And if you don't like ball joints, you ain't gonna like this figure. That's as simple as that. But then other things that are lovely is the paintwork is great. The bright shiny gold, the metallic red, that's awesome. And the wonderful detailing on the legs with like the tendrils going through there and the spikes, like these are sharp. They look really cool. He will look really cool on your shelf in a good pose. And speaking of poses, he's got the extra hands as well. So you've got the thwipping hands, you got the fisted hands, you got the wall crawling hands, and you've got the kind of gliding through the air kind of hands. They're really dynamic, so the posability options on this guy are fantastic. It would be nice to have maybe an unmasked head or a battle damaged head, because even they show him as like battle damaged in some of the pictures on the box. I can't see one now. Maybe they're on the inside of the box, but either way. Also, you can recreate this iconic pose with him, so that's really, really cool. But yeah, now it's time, I think. I'm so not used to doing reviews, I have no system for it, but now it's time to go and do some figure comparisons. And this was Amazing Yamaguchi Iron Spider. There are ups and downs to it. Is he worth the price tag? You know, I'm not entirely convinced. There's so much sort of engineering going on here. I can see why they can claim that, and that's okay, especially, I mean, it's an import. Come on, these things all rack up over time. But still, I'm like, this works for him. I don't know how happy I would be with it for other characters, but still, I kind of dig this guy. He's been missing in the Marvel Universe collection for such a long time that it's awesome to have him, and I like the fact that he is different and unique and he stands out. So the pros, I would say, definitely outweigh the cons, but it's a mixed bag, and that's what I'll happily say. He's a mixed bag that comes out on the good side of the spectrum. And folks, that was my review of the Revlatech Amazing Yamaguchi Iron Spider. What do you think? Have you got any Yamaguchi figures? If so, comment below, let me know. And if you like what you see here and you want to see more, then join the 6-1 clicks by clicking the like, share, and subscribe buttons. And if you want to go one step beyond on supporting the channel, just like these fantastic human beings here, you can go over to patreon.com/displaying model behavior. Throw a few shekels my way and enjoy all of the, what am I trying to say, exclusive videos that are on there. But what are the videos? Well, you're going to have to join to find out. But one of them actually is the unboxing video I made of this guy, because I thought I would do the unboxing review all together, and then I realized there was so much that goes into the figure, I just wouldn't be able to do it justice in an unboxing video. So you can go over to Patreon to check that out. But in the meantime, guys, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Chill. Yeah. Cup of coffee. Big time.